To send you down to the World Center of Racing, the big track by the beach, the Daytona International Speedway. It is time now for ARCA Series Racing, and for that, we send it down to Phil Parsons and Kevin Lee. Gentlemen, take it away.
John, the long winter wait is over. It's race day at Daytona. Ahead of tonight's clash, it's the opener for the ARCA Racing Series.
Daytona International Speedway. It's the season opener. The Lucas Oil 200.
Drivers, start your engine!
We are green at Daytona. Oh, trouble already through the trioval. It's a big one at Daytona. Anxious times in the draft here at Daytona.
There's some contact.
Starting to get interesting. Where did the momentum come from?
Daytona's the biggest race of the year. It is an honor to run at this track, and if you win here, it's something you'll never forget.
When you've got a chance to win at this place, you will do anything to close the deal.
It's time to go stock car racing in 2017, and as always, we start at the World Center of Racing, and the first of 20 for the ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards. Welcome to Daytona International Speedway. I'm Kevin Lee, along with Phil Parsons, and we are delighted to be along with you on FS1 for what is always a highly entertaining event. And Phil, when we think about this one, I think we start with experience versus all the young guns and the youth.
Yeah, we always have a great group of young drivers here, always in very fast cars, and everyone says, how can we beat those young guys in those fast cars? But the veterans always seem to do it. The last time we had a first-timer win here was way back in 2009 when James Buescher won. So you have a fast rookie in a fast car, but the veterans seem to get it done.
And you've got fast guys all over the grid because of group qualifying. A lot of grumbling about starting spots, but it's going to be entertaining for us because fast guys are coming from the back.
Yeah, one of our fastest guys is Noah Gregson, another one of those young drivers. He's starting all the way back in the 33rd spot in a very fast Venturini car. We also have Gus Dean, who won Talladega. We've got Michael Self back there. He's actually going to the back of the pack because of damage during that qualifying session you were talking about. There's Noah Gregson right there in the Musselman's car, starting in the 33rd spot. We've got a guy that won at Talladega, Gus Dean, starting all the way back in the 27th spot. So many of our fast cars in the back half of the field. Another former pole sitter, Sean Corr, starts back in the 26th spot. And how about a guy that's won this race 8 times, Bobby Gerhart, not starting in the top half of the field. He starts 21st. The winner could come from anywhere.
And more urgency possible because there is a threat of weather. But right now, we're dry. For more storylines, let's go down to pit road, and we start with Jim Trado.
And when it comes to winning the General Tire Pole Award, this man did it right in qualifying. A random draw decided who he went out with in group qualifying. And Tom Hessert, you did it right. You lagged back and got just the speed you needed. This is your 10th straight ARCA race here at Daytona. How is that veteran knowledge going to play out to be the first one across the finish line?
Well, like you said, we got the first part of our job done with getting the pole there yesterday, which was obviously great. Gives us a great starting spot. And, you know, like you said, fortunately, I've been able to be here a few times in the past, so kind of have an idea of how it's going to play out. But Daytona is so unique. You know, every race is so many unknowns. So, you know, hopefully that experience plays out or helps him out a little bit, and we'll see how it plays out.
Tom Hessert's teammate Noah Gregson has been his drafting partner throughout the testing, and even back in January when the Keams came down here, he starts back in 33rd. So we'll see how his strategy may change here from the front. Now let's check in with Heather DeBow.
Hey, thanks, Jim. I'm here with another driver who does have some experience here at Daytona as well, but it's a full year with Ken Schrader Racing, brand new for you, Austin Theriault. Austin, what does your experience bring to this race tonight that some of the other drivers don't have?
Well, first of all, I can't say how excited we all are as a team to be here to get the 2017 season started. We've all been waiting, you know, anticipating, you know, to be in this position. And there's a lot of people I have to thank, Ken Schrader and his wife, and a few other people that really made this possible for me. But we're really excited to run for a championship. We have a solid team. team. You know, I've gotten to know the guys the past couple weeks, and they're really, really top-notch guys. So we're looking forward to working together, and we don't know what today's going to bring, though. Restrictor plate racing is always difficult like that. You can't really anticipate what's going to happen. So we just got to stay out of trouble and you know, see where we can't get the Orlando Longwood auto auction car at the end of the day. So we're hoping victory lane, but you never know with these races.
Well, thank you and good luck to you. Austin Theriault has a 4th place finish in the trucks in 2015. He rolls off 9th and is hoping for a better finish than that here at Daytona. Kevin?
All right, thanks, Heather. We'll continue to meet the drivers and cover the storylines, and we'll get set to go racing ahead of the clash. It's the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards tonight on FS1.
Yeah, I guess that's the way it has to work.
Joe Gibbs and Joe Gibbs Racing with a car in the ARCA Racing Series for the first time. Matt Tifft in the 18 tonight. It's the Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment 200 driven by General Tire. And let's go trackside to get started.
Now here to deliver the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Category Manager for AutoZone, Julia Clapper.
On behalf of the 80,000 AutoZoners worldwide, drivers, start your engines.
Cars fired, ready to go at Daytona. One of those that has an excellent opportunity to get victory lane tonight is last year's Rookie of the Year, General Tire, introduces us again to Dalton Sargent.
Hi, I'm Dalton Sargent from Boca Raton, Florida, driver of the number 77 Ford Fusion for Cunningham Motorsports. Being able to race 15 races last year and is really going to help. We were able to take home the Rookie of the Year award, and it gave me, a little bit of a boost going into this year, just knowing that we were the rookie last year, but now this year it's time to go out there and actually win the championship. I'm super excited about Daytona. It's probably my favorite racetrack. There's just so much history there, especially with it being kind of the track where NASCAR started. So that's really cool for me. So you just got to be smart, stay out of trouble, and be there at the end, and you should have a good shot to win. There's definitely some expectations to meet driving the 77 car. After all, they won the championship last year, so you're kind of going out there looking to do the same thing, if not even better than what they did last year. I'm really excited. Everybody in the shop is working extremely hard to get the cars prepared for this year. I feel like everybody's put in 110%, and now it's up to me.
Dalton Sargent is going to have an excellent opportunity in this one, Phil, and he is someone that is going to be a real championship contender this year.
Yeah, and you want to put yourself in a good situation, and he's in the best situation right now with the championship team from last year.
He's with the 77 Cunningham team, and last year's Rookie of the Year. Let's now look at the Scott Rookie Challenge for those that are newcomers that have a chance for that opportunity this year. And it's a limited field, just 2 that are eligible that are racing tonight. And then we got a pair of 17-year-olds to watch for coming up very soon.
Yeah, the reason Riley Herbst and Zane Smith aren't here is they're not old enough. You have to be 18 years old to race here at Daytona. We will see those guys at their next race in Nashville. But Gustine already a winner in the series at Talladega last year.
Cars have been released from pit road, and we will go racing at Daytona in the ARCA Racing Series next.
Chase Briscoe, Cunningham Motorsports number 77. He's a winner in the ARCA Racing Series.
Chase Briscoe now has opened up almost a second-half lead.
It'll be a second career win for Chase Briscoe as he wins with the big-time Florida Ice.
Trying to go back to back to back.
Give Chase Briscoe his 3rd consecutive win. Briscoe hoping to put his name in the history books. He's a winner at Pocono. He has now won 4 consecutive races.
Chase Briscoe's really done an outstanding job this race, this season.
He's going to take the checkers tonight at Chicagoland, and he's going to win again.
This young short tracker has it going on.
Tonight he's going to add the Kansas Speedway to an outstanding career.
6 times this year, this young man has pulled in the victory lane, and for the final time in 2016, the champion.
And those 6 wins in the championship have moved Chase Briscoe on to a Truck Series ride with Brad Keselowski this year. 2017 ARCA is here, and what I love about this series is the diversity, Phil.
Yeah, we've got road course at Road America in August. We've got a couple mild dirts at DeCoin and Springfield. Some great short tracks, the staple of the series, and some intermediate super speedways, Chicago, Kentucky, and Kansas.
Well, we referenced that qualifying was shaken up a little bit with group qualifying. The General Tire Pole Award goes to Tom Hessert. He had it figured out how to get it done yesterday.
He did an outstanding job during his qualifying session. There were groups of about 6 cars. You can see him right here. He laid back. He got a good run on a pack of 3 or 4 cars in front of him, and that was enough to get him up top.
Time now for the Lucas Oil starting grid. Hessert will choose the outside. He's running a limited schedule this year. Second in the championship last year, 5 races this season. And then there we see Matt Tifft on the outside. What a story he is, and he'll be one to watch.
Yeah, and he's actually going to be on the inside because Tom Hessert chose the outside. I got to believe that they're probably working together a little bit. Look for that 25 car to get down in turn 1 in front of the 18, and those guys get hooked up.
Austin Theriault, Dalton Sargent, 2 young guns to watch there in row number 5.
Longtime ARCA competitor Terry Jones back in row number 6.
We're seeing a few that are going to have to move to the back. Quinn Houth is one to watch, another young driver that is going to be extremely entertaining.
There's Shane Lee, another guy that's going to be running full-time for Cunningham Motorsports in the 22.
2 fast guys there in row 11. Sean Corr has been fast this weekend, along with the 8-time winner Gerhard.
There's Travis Braden, a winner. His first ARCA start at LOR a couple years ago.
One of the rookies, one of the full-timers, Gus Dean. Ed Pompa also running for Andy Hillenberg's team.
Justin Fontaine, teammate to Gus Dean for Kevin Sawinski.
Watch Noah Gregson. I've been told he might have the best piece here tonight.
Brad Smith, great strong point finish last year for Brad Smith in that 48 car.
And Andy Seiss and David LeBeau round out the qualifying order. Some are moving to the back. Now we've got excellent looks here that we're going to see in this one. And we go to our onboards, Phil.
Yeah, we're going to start off with Noah Gregson. He's in the Musselman's Big Cup Applesauce on board that Toyota. And he start way back in the 33rd spot.
Gus Dean will have the Gree Cooling Products on board. Watch for him coming up today from 27th.
We're going to ride along with Leilani Munter in the vegan-powered Toyota for Venturini Motorsports, and she will start back in the 17th spot.
Dalton Sargent has the General Tire on board. He starts from the 10th position.
Terry Jones will have the Nortrax onboard camera, and he will start from the 12th spot.
And then there's Dalton Sargent we're going to see next for the General Tire on board.
Going to start up in the top 10 for Dalton, our last year Rookie of the Year.
And then Austin Theriault in the 52. Orlando Longwood Auto Auction provides the onboard for his Chevrolet.
Michael Self had a good qualifying effort, but he had damage during that qualifying session, so he shows he's starting 8th in that Sinclair Oil onboard, but he will go all the way to the back of the pack.
He is going to be one to watch. Other storylines. Final thoughts from pit lane. We start with Heather.
Well, Kevin, when you race at Daytona International Speedway for the first time, it is always very special. But for 19-year-old Quinn Houth, it is going to be even more special for him. As you can see here, he is running a very special paint scheme supporting his family. They have been affected by cancer. His mother has beaten cancer twice, but unfortunately he lost his grandmother, Mama BJ, in December. So she will be riding with him above the roof of the car. You can see her name there on the window, and she might be bringing him a little bit of good luck. But one thing I want to note is that whatever Quinn makes in earnings tonight, he will be donating half of that to the Duke Cancer Institute. And that's very special, and it might just give him just a little bit more motivation to get the best finish possible. Jim?
Heather, the driver that is starting on the front row is Matt Tifft. The last time stock cars rumbled around this racetrack at Daytona in July of last year, Matt Tifft was in a recovery room on a hospital bed from a brain tumor about the size of a cotton ball removed from that young man's brain. He was cleared to race in September. He's back here racing full time. This is a Joe Gibbs entry, first time since 2005. He's in the car looking for a win and working with his spotter that he'll race with all season, Chris Lambert, calling the shots up on top. Guys?
All right, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Heather. Buckle up. We're ready to go. 80 laps, 200 miles in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. The long winter wait is over. They come into the Tri-Oval, and we are green in 2017 in ARCA. Hessert with the early jump. Tifft falling back, looking for a push from Sargent.
Weatherman can get down to the inside right now. He has room if he wants to. He's not going to do it, though.
So he'll stay up high, and that will allow Tiff to make up some room in the NOS car.
And I have to believe that this was to plan to get these two Toyotas out front, the 25 of Hessert and the 18 of Tift. Weatherman's doing a nice job in that 78 car, leading his teammate Kaz Grala in the 88.
And Grala is the youngest in this field, 18 years old, the biggest track he's ever run on, a half mile, and now he's at Daytona.
Yeah, Kaz will be looking to run the full schedule in the Truck Series next year for GMS Motorsports, so going to get some great experience here today.
That's Grala on the white car back there on the high side, running with Sargent for 4th. Top 3 have checked out just a teeny bit.
Yeah, most of the talk in the garage area was, let's get down to the bottom. Whatever we have to do, let's get down to the bottom as soon as we can. And you can see that now. You see this bottom line forming up a little bit. But you see right now Kaz Grala leading the outside group. He has Brett Holmes in the 23, that blue and yellow car right behind him.
Brian Doza is a really good story. Qualified 3rd, just his 4th career ARCA start. He's in the number 11 OB Builders car, and he's holding his own here so far in the early stage.
A lot of times when we talk about qualifying, it's just at this racetrack, just get in there and hold it down wide open. There was strategy involved in qualifying. We talk about that group qualifying. Brian did an outstanding job to qualify up in the top 5.
And there's also some luck in qualifying when you're talking about groups. It does matter who you're going to be racing with.
Yeah, without a doubt. A good push right there from Willie Mullins in that 34 car on Terry Jones in the 30 car.
Mullins had a really good run, 8th here last year.
Terry Jones, a longtime ARCA competitor from Canada. He shows a top 5 at Talladega for his best finish.
So the low line is the better line in the early going, and that's what we were expecting. Everyone I talked to said you just got to make the car stick down on that yellow line.
Yeah, since they repaved this racetrack several years ago, this racetrack is not as much about handling. It is in being in the right spot and having a very aerodynamic car that will slip through the air. See that outside line, Kevin, trying to make a little ground up here. Kaz Grala's doing a nice job not losing much ground to that inside line.
That black 30 car, Terry Jones, the Nortrax car. Down on the bottom side, off to a good start.
Remember that double yellow line right side of your screen, that's out of bounds. You cannot improve your position by going down below that double yellow line. Now Terry Jones is going to decide that black car to jump to the outside, see if he can lead that outside pack up towards the front.
And you're just hoping then that somebody has enough speed that's behind you to push you through there.
You need a push for sure.
Let's find out what's happening with Dalton Sargent down to pit road and Jim.
Guys, so far so good. This is the champions ride from a year ago that this young driver said, I want to be with that team. He jumped over as the rookie of the year last year from Venturini Motorsports with Dalton Sargent behind the wheel of this number 77 Phoenix Construction Ford. He told me that they found something after an hour and a half of practice on Thursday that makes this car better behind someone else. Until then, they were scratching their heads.
Trouble already. That's Lancaster in the 83. Is that Dowsett in the 11? It is.
Oh, and he was running 5th, off to a great start. And Lancaster had moved up a little bit after starting in 13th position. Not sure if there's
not a great
that
deal
much damage.
Very little damage. You see a little damage to the left front of Dowsett's car.
Let's take a look.
There's Dowse on the inside in the 11. You got a little bit sideways there. And then there was contact. The 34 William Mullins was trying to give him some extra room and ended up bouncing off of the 11. The 83 had a little bit of help from behind, turned him around. Could have been a lot worse, Kevin.
And we had a big one on the second lap last year, so we dodged that one.
I'm not sure that Dowsett didn't have some sort of an issue because he got all 4 tires down below the double yellow line. He may have had some sort of an issue.
Or he thought that something bad was about to happen and I want to get out of the way. And for all the guys in the back, that's what they just said. I want to avoid that problem that's going to happen early. All the fast guys. And a couple caught up in this early one.
Saw the damage to the 34 a moment ago of Willie Mullins. There he is right there. He's probably has the most damage. Ooh, right front tire went down on Lancaster's car. He'll have to come in for a little bit of body repair.
So we are under caution in the early going. Tom Hessert, the pole sitter, is out in front. Stay with us from Daytona International. Back at Daytona, Kevin Lee, Phil Parsons, Jim Trado, Heather DeBow, the ARCA Racing Series season opener. It's time for our General Tire track facts about ARCA's history at this historic racetrack. You've seen almost all of them,
Yeah,
Phil.
most of them. I was here in 1965 for the second one, but what a great history that the ARCA Racing Series has here at Daytona. 53 times they've been here. 8 wins by Bobby Gerhart, which is amazing.
And he's the only former winner entered in this year's race. He's one of those working his way up a little bit. Under caution for some light contact, but still some damage for several. The 34 of Mullins, Lancaster in the 83, and Doza in the 11. And then some others took the opportunity to pit as well. Let's find out more and start with Jim.
Derek Lancaster was involved in the early race caution on lap 3 a year ago. So disappointment for this all-volunteer crew. So much work has gone into this for the number 83, which will come back to pit row. We also know Willie Mullins after that great qualifying effort in the number 34 with Andy Bellman on the box, and Daryl and the boys of the Basham Racing crew helping this young driver get here. So much on the line, so much damage early for both of these teams. Another trip to pit road again for Lancaster here as a couple of veterans early on starting in the top 10 now finding themselves on pit road.
And Daryl Basham Racing has overcome a lot to get back to the racetrack this year. Daryl has had some health issues. We remember the tornado in Henryville and the flood, everything else that a fire. Actually, it's taken some of their equipment away over the last couple of years.
I talked to Daryl's son Mike, who did a great job jumping in behind the wheel last year, had a top 10 finish, finished up on the top 10 in points, and he said that in a few months he's going to get to run some more, probably the next race at Nashville, and in a few months he said his dad said that he's going to give him a promotion. He's going to let him be the car chief when Daryl gets back behind the wheel.
Okay.
Mike said promotion tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah. Tom Hessert remains out in front as we run under caution. Let's look one more time at what happened on lap 6.
I just have to believe that something may have happened to the 11 of Dowza, maybe lost power or something, because you see him get down below the W line. Willie Mullins was just trying to avoid him, but unfortunately made some contact. It looked like might have been Kaz Gralla that he made contact with, and then Derek Lancaster got run into from behind and turned him down into the infield.
This is on board with Austin Theriault.
That is the 88 of Kaz Gralla that's on the outside of Willie Mullins. There's that contact right there.
Well, let's find out more with Heather on pit road.
That's right, guys. As you mentioned, Brian Daza, he did have damage. He went through the infield there when he spun out, but he did have a right foot fender rub, so they worked on trying to pull that out. When the team asked him to tell him what was wrong with the car, he also said he probably flat spotted the tires and he has a bad vibration. Now, Phil mentioned he thought Kaz Gralla got some of that action, and he definitely did. They had to pull out the left rear fender, and he has a major vibration. They did left side tires, and they will hopefully be able to fix that vibration with that. Also, just want to make a note that Michael Self came in that 28 and did fuel only on that stop.
All right. Those are some of those that we saw pit along with Noah Gregson, who was starting a little further back, so playing the strategy and a few different ones going here in the early going. We'll go back green in just a moment. Tom Hessert is out front in the ARCA Racing Series at Daytona. Next Sunday, the best drivers in the world return to the track for the Great American Race. Don't miss Jeff Gordon and the Fox crew as they call the action for the 59th running of the Daytona 500, beginning next Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox.
What a great tune-up we're going to have tonight, too, with the Clash.
And that's coming up right after we're done, a couple hours after we're done on FS1. Quick update from Jim.
Continues for the number 55 Musselman's Applesauce Toyota team. Noah Gregson brought his car down pit road. I thought perhaps it was a strategy call because this young man had been fast in practice all weekend. He was fast when the teams tested for 2 days. in January, but this is an issue with the Panhard bar. The mount in there, something has gone awry because he said the car was twitchy. And Phil, it was twitchy on the straightaway, not in the corner. So Billy Venturini said, you know what, if we go down one lap, we have to make sure this car is right. We need to get Noah comfortable in this race car. Hopefully we'll get the lucky dog and get back out on the racetrack.
Yeah, Jim, what the Panhard does is that it keeps the rear in alignment. If that thing was loose and that rear was moving around, I can certainly see why that thing was a handful to drive.
Pace car about to pull off. Hessert is on the bottom side. Weatherman up top. Tift and Sargent in row 2. Jones and Holmes in row 3. Half, Robaugh, Terrio, Sanders, the top 10. Green again at Daytona.
Great jump by Weatherman in the 78 on the outside. Can he clear Hessert?
And without a push, but back down, here comes Hessert on the low line. And he's got Tift coming with him.
The bottom line has a lot of momentum right now. A little bit of a gap behind Weatherman. Back to the 77 of Sargent.
Hessert out front in the Andrews Renton coil spring car for Venturini. Tift in the Joe Gibbs racing car. Great to have them in the ARCA Racing Series this year. And Riley Herbst will be in that car in Nashville.
Yeah, and that car will be full-time in 2017. How about Terry Jones with a great run early on here? Terry's doing a nice job in that 30 car, running in the 3rd spot. Here's Michael Self. Michael was on pit road back on the lap number 10. We had some guys make it from lap number 9 last year, Kevin, so it could be a strategy move for Michael Self as we ride along on that Nortrax onboard of Terry Jones.
It won't take that many caution laps for that to work out. And then plus we have the possibility, what if it rains after we get past the midpoints?
There's Leilani Munter in the Deegan-powered Toyota for Venturini Motorsports, running right now up in the top 16. Doing a nice job. John Ferrier, the 16 car on the inside. Looks like that's Brett Holmes, that blue and yellow car right in front of Leilani. Good outside run here. There's Weatherman, the 78. There's a Phoenix Construction, number 77 of Dalton Sargent. Good to see my buddy James Finch sponsor an ARCA car here with Dalton Sargent. He sponsored him at the Snowball Derby back in December.
Got to look there at the 66 of Mark Thompson, a former pole sitter here in his 16th ARCA race at Daytona. There he is in the Phoenix Air car, the black 66.
We see how much ground that outside line has lost since this restart. Remember, Weatherman was right up there side by side with Hessert, and now they're fighting all back outside the top 10.
Shane Lee right now running in 10th position. He's right behind Thompson as we go on board with Sargent. He's 11th.
Just can't make any ground up here on the outside.
And that's Lee on his bottom side in the 22 big time car.
Remember, that's a teammate, Cunningham Motorsports, to Dalton Sargent.
And that's Brett Holmes on the bottom side in the 23.
Right now you're Dalton Sargent. You're following a car. He's trying to side draft a little bit to try to stall the momentum of the 23 of Brett Holmes, that blue car. But there's really not a lot you can do about it. You see the bottom line driving away from you, and you pretty much have to just ride it out here. Just try to stay in the right position. Don't get hung up. Don't get caught in the middle.
And that pack is running for 10th position. The 22, Lee, is running in 10th. And up front, Tom Hessert is loving that it's single file 1 through 9. And he's led every lap so far as we look at Noah Gragson still getting work done on pit road.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's just going to take him completely out of contention with so much promise. Such a fast race car. Musselman's came on board this year with Venturini Motorsports, and it's not going to happen for him today.
Gragson is one of 7 teenagers in this race. He's just 18 years old.
Yeah, his racing's not done though for the next couple weeks here at Daytona. We'll see him racing for Kyle Busch Motorsports next week in the Truck Series.
And he's one of those guys though that really wanted to use this to really learn, and so much can be gained from the experience of drafting and all the intricacies of racing at Daytona.
How frustrating it is for that young man. You can see him just grab his headrest there. So you have a bit of a separation now. That outside line has stalled the inside line back here from about 9th place on back. Those guys need to get back in line if they can to try to catch that lead pack. Con Nikolopoulos was slow on the racetrack. Looks like he is going to be able to make it to pit road. Will not necessitate a caution flag.
I mentioned some different strategies that we saw some pit under the caution. However, no one in the top 20 has gone to pit road yet. So all the guys up front, if this race goes to completion, are going to have to make that stop. And if it does go to completion, they're going to need gas at some point too.
We saw Weatherman jump out of the outside line down to the inside line. Now looks like we have about 10 cars in that lead pack on the inside, and just 3 or 4 car lengths back to that second pack where they're side by side. Brett Holmes, the blue and yellow car, and Dalton Sargent in that 77.
What do we learn in this race that will apply to other races here in the next 2 weeks from the other 3 NASCAR series?
Well, I think for these drivers that are just trying to get some experience, they're going to learn some very valuable drafting lessons and what it's like to try to stay in line. You have to have some patience here. These ARCA Racing Series cars don't act exactly like the trucks. The trucks punch such a big hole in the air. The closing rate is so much greater in the truck. So that's something that people like Noah Gragson will have to get used to next week. But right now, unfortunately for Noah Gragson, he's out of it here. But we've got some guys like Kaz Grala who also will be running the truck series this year, learning some valuable lessons.
About a quarter of the way in on the General Tire leaderboard. It's the pole sitter, Tom Hessert, looking for career win number 7, and he's never won at the World Center of Racing. Welcome back to Daytona. Caution for debris on the backstretch. 21 of 80 complete in the season opener in the ARCA Racing Series. This is the Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment 200, driven by General Tire, with Phil Parsons, Jim Trado, Heather DeBow. I'm Kevin Lee. Tom Hessert has been in control this entire race. He has led from the start. Now, though, the pit window is open. Will we see everyone come to pit road?
Pretty much perfect timing. We saw that pit window was about 55 to 60 laps here. We're already past inside of 60 laps to go, so I think everyone comes to pit road here. And most of the talk down in the garage area was, Kevin, that these General tires weren't getting such good wear that nobody is planning on changing tires unless they have some sort of an issue. But it's incumbent on the drivers not to slide those tires when you get to pit road here, because then that would cause you to have to change the tires. But I don't look to see a whole lot of old tire changes.
This is going to be a quickie yellow. Now the next question is, those that have already pitted, do they come in, or do they stay out, cycle to the front, and then hope for rain?
Well, I think that may be what Michael Self has in mind here. He pitted on lap number 10. That's really stretching it. Chad Bryant, crew chief for Dalton Sargent, told me they did that with Chase Briscoe last year, pitted on lap number 9, but they needed 21 laps of caution to get to the end. Will Kimmel did the same strategy, and he ran out with a couple 3 laps to go.
So we'll see if we have everyone taking this time by, and here they come, starting with Hessert. Half stays out, though. Let's start with Jim.
Leader coming all the way down to pit stall number 1. Tom Hessert's team, led by crew chief Dave Liner, is reminding his driver not to slide the tires. Spotter Frankie Kimmel calling him down. On the bottom of your screen, P2, Matt Tifft already in. He's pitted just about start-finish line. Fuel only for all of these leaders. Tift's crew, if he needs it, is Matt Kenseth's Cup team, but gas men only in duty. Heather.
In the middle of your screen there, Austin Theriault came in as well. He is very happy with his car, so they only did fuel. So keep an eye on the 52. They said they are very happy right now.
How about that Gibbs bunch winning that battle off of pit road for Matt Tifft in the 18?
You got to think that that is a well-operated team, and that is going to be an advantage for them on pit road. And you don't need to change the General tires. They last the entire race.
That's exactly right. But I was a little bit surprised that Quinn Houff with a 98 stayed on the racetrack along with a couple others.
Houff had not pitted.
Yeah.
And that's the 25 team that we got to look at there with Venturini Motorsports.
Lost about 3 spots on pit road, I think.
So a good restart coming up in just a moment. ARCA Racing from Daytona on FS1. It's a Big East basketball doubleheader tomorrow in FS1. It all tips off with DePaul taking on number 24 Butler at 1:30 Eastern. Then Rodney Pryor in Georgetown battle Marcus Foster and number 20 Creighton. A Big East basketball doubleheader tomorrow on FS1. Caution at Daytona in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, and 20-year-old Quinn Houff from Virginia is out in front because he did not pit, and Tom Hessert, who has dominated this race, is all the way back in 12th, Phil.
Hey, let's see if we can chat with Tom Hessert. Hey, Tom Hessert, Phil Parsons up in the FS1 booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, Phil, I'm clear, man.
What are you doing back there? We haven't seen you anywhere but in the lead all day today. What's your plan now?
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. I don't know. We have a little trouble fueling the car there on this stuff, but it's all good. We have a really strong Toyota 6.7 Venturini, so I think we got the piece that they want to get back to the front here.
All right, buddy. Done a great job so far. Keep it up front.
All right, thanks, Phil.
So we know he's good out front. Now we find out how he operates in some traffic and behind other cars.
Yeah, I look at this rundown here of the starting grid and this running order, and there's 8 or 10 guys to me that have good experience at these kind of racetracks. None any more so than Tom Hessert, a winner a couple years ago at Talladega, so he knows what he's doing.
Top 6 did not pit. That's Houff, Weatherman, Prater, Baccarella, Ferrier, and Brad Smith. So Tift running 7th is the furthest up. You see him there in the number 18 NOS Energy car. He won the race off pit road. Terrio got out second. Then Terry Jones. Nice run for him in the 30 car today.
And there's Tom Hessert outside of Terry Jones. Tom in that 25 car. Dalton Sargent, the row behind them, as well as Michael Lira in the 6 cars. So, but you have some cars. You have a couple cars up front that have been running up front with Houff and Weatherman, but then you have some guys that haven't been up front yet the next 2 rows. So we're gonna have to keep our eyes open here, try to get through these first few laps.
Pace car will be pulling off in just a moment. We'll be working on lap 26 of 80. There's been threatening weather, but it's held off. And we want to get this one in. We want the clash going tonight just after 8 o'clock Eastern. Houff in his very first ARCA Racing Series start is the leader. He's on the outside. Weatherman to the bottom. Green at Daytona. And they go through the gears side by side through the trioval.
We'll see if Weatherman drags his speed just enough to let Houff get down. There he is. Teammates right there working into perfection.
Mason Mitchell Motorsports. I talked with Mason yesterday. You guys need to be in that Cunningham consideration. Venturini is they're the big 3 teams right now.
Yeah, without a doubt. Mason Mitchell puts a great effort on the racetrack. A great driver in his own right. Stepped aside now to crew chief and run this team. How about Austin Terrio, that 52 on the outside? Look at that car go with some help from Tom Hessert. Those guys worked very well together, the 52 and the 25.
Baccarella there in the 80, the white car in the middle as they go 3 wide for a moment up to the top side.
A couple of the strongest cars in the field now trying to make that outside line work. We'll see if Hessert in that 25 can push Terrio in the 52 up towards the front.
Top 6 or 7 single file. Then we go side by side. What an experience this is for Quinn Houff in his first ARCA race to get an opportunity to lead laps. I think that might make some sense there. It's strategy and it's a gamble, but this is what he's here to do. He's here to learn and get some exposure for his sponsors. He's going to get it right now.
Yeah, without a doubt. We know he's going to have to make his way to pit road. The rule in our ARCA series is you have to pit before 10 laps to go. So he will have to come down pit road before lap 70. They're just banking on another caution flag to do that.
Let's talk about the front 2 teammates to pit road and Jim Trado.
I just checked in with team owner and crew chief on the number 78, Mason Mitchell. The car that's running in the 2nd spot now, it happens to be Mason Mitchell calling the shots. I said, when will you come? He said, with the number of laps of caution we've had, our 2 lead cars will have to pit about lap 60. He said between 55 and 60 will have to come. We're hoping for 1 more caution to do that. But keep in mind, these young drivers, Kyle Weatherman, the most experienced among the bunch, has only had 1 prior super speedway start. To help these young drivers in Mason Mitchell Motorsports, 3 of the 4 Hendrick Motorsports NASCAR Cup Series spotters helping these drivers around.
Thank you, Jim. Good run there in 3rd position. The 9 car, Thomas Prater, the DK Lot car.
Was just thinking the exact same thing. What a nice job Moose Prater is doing there in 3rd. Top 10 in points the last 4 years for Moose Prater. His nickname is Moose, by the way.
Comes from one of his first cars, was sponsored by the Outdoor Channel, which featured a giant moose coming out of the rear wheel well. So he changed on the roof. He put Tom Moose, I think, for a little while.
John Ferrier also doing a nice job. John has a top 10 finish for his best career finish. He finished 7th at Talladega a few years ago.
Just his 9th career ARCA start. You love the diversity in this series. We've talked about the tracks, but from the drivers, you got the young guns that are trying to get experience to work their way through the NASCAR system, and then you've got guys that are here for the love of racing and are still pretty talented.
Yeah, one of those guys is Mark Thompson, the 66 car, but he got shoved to the outside, losing a lot of ground. Mark's a former winner in this series.
I spent some time with Leilani Munter yesterday. She's really become an activist. She's driven all kinds of different race cars, Indy Lights, stock cars, sports cars, and she became vegan 5.5 years ago and decided, well, you know what, I'm going to see if I can make this work to continue my racing career as well. And she's got all the Venturini guys. She says, you know, I'm a self-described hippie chick with these good old boys, and she's got them doing her vegan meals, and they're really enjoying it.
Kathy Venturini made me eat some of that vegan food down there, and it was pretty good.
That's what I hear, and they've got displays and opportunities for you to sample some of that all through Speedweeks, up through the 500 next weekend.
There's Michael Self. Remember, Michael had damage from qualifying, had to go to the back of the pack to repair that damage. Right now, he's being shown in the 15th spot.
Heather was also with me chatting with Leilani yesterday.
That's right, Kevin, and you just said that she may not be a hippie chick, but I just heard her singing in the car. She seems to be really enjoying herself out there. She sounds really relaxed, and she just said to me when we were talking to her yesterday that she just wants to go out there, run a clean race, and get the best finish possible, and it looks like so far things are going well for her, and it sounds like it as well. She's got quite the good voice.
Phil, how challenging when you haven't been in a race car in 2 years is the case with Leilani Munter.
It's very challenging, and she really does a nice job here. She just never has had any luck here at this racetrack. She's always been running well, running up in the top 5 here in Talladega, and something always happens towards the end of the race. So would love to see her put a solid race together and get her a good, strong finish.
A well-fed world is heading up their funding effort. Meanwhile, out front, it's still the youngster, Quinn Houff.
Looks like Terrio's being able to make a little bit of ground up, a little bit of a push from the 25 of Hessert.
That's going to be one to watch.
Michael Lear, the red number 6 car, right behind Tom Hessert. They're making up some ground here on the outside.
Michael Lear is another youngster, 19 years old. He's raced here on the road course in the Rolex.
See that bumping going on there? That's perfectly legal.
And everyone said it's really hard in these cars to actually get up close enough. It's almost like when you get within a foot, it just shoves the car ahead. But what you really need to do is the guy in front needs to
drag the brake a little
bit, hook up and get going.
Ferrier jumps to the outside, jumps out in front of Austin Theriault and Kenny Schrader's car. Let's see if he can help that outside line. Matt Tifnow was able to get by Ferrier. There's that Nortrax car for Terry Jones, the black 30. Now they're going to put Ferrier in the middle.
Whoa.
That sure didn't work out for him. Remember, he was riding along in the 4th spot on the inside line, jumped up to the outside. They put him in the middle. Look how many positions he's losing in that blue and white car, number 16.
So we'll see where he settles in from 4th all the way back to getting close to mid-pack now.
Back 13th when they started across the start-finish line, and he's going farther back than that.
Gotta find a spot. Looking for an opportunity, and that's where the spotters come into play here. The Mason Mitchell car is still out front. Houff, Weatherman, Prater running in 3rd. Matt Tifft 4th. Terry Jones still running in 5th. Theriault, Sargent, Lee, Hessert, and Lira rounding out the top 10 of the General Tire leaderboard. We're getting close to halfway done here at Daytona. The first of 20 in 17 for the ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards. Thanks for joining us from Daytona for the Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment 200, driven by General Tire, the opener for the ARCA Racing Series. With Phil Parsons, I'm Kevin Lee, Heather DeBow and Jim Trado on pit road, and 20-year-old Quinn Houff in his ARCA Racing Series debut has been out front since a restart. He has yet to pit, and not only is this his first start, he's got nothing guaranteed beyond this. They're trying to raise awareness, raise more funding to do more ARCA Series races. No better way to do it than this.
Yeah, Quinn's a great short track racer. I've watched him win a couple cars, super late model races over the last couple years. He's leading this 9-car breakaway pack now. They've got a little bit of a gap over 10th, but that they're lined up there now from 10th on back. Going to catch this pack here in another lap or so.
You see his teammate Kyle Weatherman in second. Thomas Prater still runs third. Matt Tifft, Terry Jones. A little further back of real interest, I think, is Shane Lee. Not much further back in 7th position. He's one of the full-time guys running for the championship, getting off to a good start here so far.
Yeah, we have teammates right now running 6th and 7th, with Dalton Sargent, the 77, running 6th, and his teammate Shane Lee running 7th. Both those guys doing a very nice job. There they are right there, along with Terry Jones in that 30 car.
How important, how much of an advantage it is when you are running with that teammate. You don't have to find any friends then.
Yeah, exactly right here. But a lot of times you'll have a plan. We're going to get together and run, and then you never see each other the entire race. But right now, Shane Lee has a great look of Dalton Sargent right behind him. We heard Mason Mitchell say that he probably needed to pit around lap number 60. I think he might even be able to stretch it a little bit more, because we've had 10 caution laps thus far in this race. But right now we've just completed lap 39. So if I'm Mason Mitchell, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous, knowing that I'm only about 20 laps away, because these guys have really done a nice job, you know, running some single file here. You see a 2 wide way back here, about 2/3 of the way back, but these guys have run a pretty clean race so far.
And now if you want to pick up positions, it's a huge gamble.
It's almost impossible right now with this line of traffic on the bottom of the racetrack. You see, we had them side by side from 10th on back. Now they're all in line here. Now we're in about 20 cars that are single file here.
So if you are running with a teammate right behind you, you do have more of an advantage. At least you can work with it and get on the radio and say, I'm going up to the high side, come with me.
And it's too early right now. These guys realized how hard it was. You had 2 very good cars of Tom Hessert and Austin Theriault leading that pack on the outside, and they could not make any ground up on these 2 Mason Mitchell cars along with Tommy Prater. So they decided to jump down on the inside line there, and they're running back in 8th and 9th.
We've had some threatening weather. We even had some sprinkles about a half hour before the green tonight, but we now are official. Now we want to see it go all the way to 80 to see pit stops and see what happens.
Yeah, we know we're going to see at least 3 pit stops, because those front 3 cars will have to make their way to pit road. I think everybody from Matt Tifft in that blue and orange number 18 on back can stay on the racetrack to the end.
So Houff continues to lead his teammate Weatherman, with Prater, Tifft, Terry Jones all lurking. It's time for the Protect Plus mid-race recap. We saw Tom Hessert, the pole sitter, dominate early. Quinn Houff in front now. We've had 2 cautions.
Still have 34 cars on the lead lap.
The second caution was for debris. Here's what happened on lap number 6 for the first caution.
It appeared that Brian Dowsett had a little bit of a problem in that 11 car, pulled down to the inside of the racetrack. Willie Mullins in 34, you see him move over to give him some room. He makes contact with Kaz Gralla. That causes this. Not a great deal of damage to these cars, but some damage. Probably the big loser is Noah Gragson now, who is 7 laps down. Nothing to do with that incident on the racetrack, but he had his Panhard bar bracket come loose. Took several laps on pit road to make those repairs. He's back in the 38th spot, 7 laps down.
And Mullins listed as out. He had a fast car as well. And there's a problem for Michael Lira. He's down on the apron now.
Yeah, certainly not a fuel issue. He came in on lap number 22. Tough break. This is Josh Williams' team. We've seen Josh win a couple races last year. Always a perennial top point finisher. But unscheduled pit stop for Michael Lira right here.
He's been racing in ARCA since he was 15, but this is his first race at Daytona. He will not get the result that he is looking for. Meanwhile, it's another youngster, Quin Houff, out in front. Can he take the checkers at Daytona? Our third caution of the day at Daytona for ARCA. Brian Dowza took a spin, and now pit lane is open, and everyone that hasn't pitted, they're heading down to pit road right now. We start with Heather.
In the top of your box, Quin Houff, our leader, he just had to remind his crew chief, hey guys, this is my first live pit stop. Please walk me through it. So they told him, do not speed. We do not need a penalty. Keep it at 3,900. Do not cross more than 3 pit stalls. But they are going to clean the windshield for him because he said that there was some oil from possibly another car and fuel, and then they're going to get him out of the pit stall. And he stalls it out. He's got to back it up at this point. We'll send it over to Jim.
Fuel in the 78 car for Mitchell, Mason Mitchell Motorsports, and driver Kyle Weatherman. A bit of tape off the nose. The number 9 of Thomas Prater. Supposed to be fuel only. Longer stop than anticipated. Spotter Tad Boyd called him in not to spin the tires. Now a slower stop for that team to lose many spots here on pit road. Many teams gas only.
In a good race off pit road between the 78 and the 18, and it looked like Weatherman got out in front of Tifts. And the team called it, and Quin Houff called it himself. Tough pit stops for his first live pit stop as we take a look back at what happened to Dowza.
I think the right rear tire went down on Dowza's car. You can see it's down already right there. That thing really snapped around pretty quick. Probably had something to do with the damage from that earlier incident early in the race.
And let's go back to the Houff pit stop. That's one of the toughest things for young drivers to get used to. And here, I don't think he did make a mistake. He just got blocked in. So bad luck for the 98 Mason Mitchell team. Stay with us. More coming from Daytona. It's the Daytona Pick 5 Challenge. Go to foxsports.com and pick the top 5 finishers at this year's Daytona 500 for your chance to win $50,000. This is your chance to win at Daytona. Someone's got a chance to win here tonight in the first stock car race of 2017 at the World Center of Racing. It's the opener for the ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards with Phil Parsons, Jim Trado, Heather DeBow. I'm Kevin Lee. Under caution, past the midpoint, 47 of 80. And we just saw a moment ago the problems for the previous leader, Quin Houff. That's allowed Terry Jones to cycle to the front on pit road. And there's a little more than meets the eye here. This deserves some explanation of what happened.
He could have actually stopped a little bit farther back in his pit. You see him start rolling forward, and then that leaves him out of room there because the 0-1 of Travis Brayton had to drive around the 98. If he would have stopped a little farther back in his pit, waited till the 0-1 got to his pit, he could have just driven right out.
And Kevin Reed was not pleased, the crew chief for the 98.
Yeah, Kevin has they brought a little bit of that on themselves by the fact that they didn't stop all the way back at the back part of their pit, and they were rolling forward. That gave him less room for the 0-1 to get around them into his pit box. These pits are plenty long. You really shouldn't get boxed in here.
So Terry Jones pitted on lap 22 with all of those in the top 8 right now, and what a story this is for the moment. For the 45-year-old from Ontario, Canada, has never finished better than 5th in an ARCA race. That was, though, at Talladega in 2013, so you know he's good at this, but he's getting an opportunity to lead the field back to the green at Daytona.
Our top 13 runners right now all pitted back on lap number 22. Again, they should be fine on fuel. I was really a little bit surprised that the 18 of Matt Tifft came down pit road on this most recent caution flag. He came down with the Mason Mitchell cars.
Terry Jones, Dalton Sargent in the front row. Shane Lee, Tom Hessert has worked his way back up to 4th. Austin Theriault, Leilani Munter in row number 3. Ricky Sanders, Bo Lamastus, Holmes Thompson round out the top 10. The pace car is coming off. Jones will take the bottom side. Sargent, though, is going to get the early jump. Can he make it stick from the outside? Here comes Jones again on the bottom.
I talked to Sargent's crew. They really like working with the 25 of Tom Hessert. You see him side drafting. They make contact. Their teammates now side by side. The 22, Shane Lee, the 77 of Sargent.
So what kind of side draft can they use off each other right now? Lee on the bottom, Sargent on the top.
Terry Jones wants to be careful. He doesn't want to get too far out in front because they'll have too much momentum when they get to him.
Terrio, and the only female in this race, Leilani Munter, running 5th and 6th, side by side for the moment.
See Shane Lee, the 22, pull out in solid 2nd position right now. Here's Terrio on the inside in the 52 car. Oh, trouble.
Oh, and a big hit that Thompson took. Multiple incidents on this one. LeBeau, and on fire, that's Baccarella.
AJ Fike, the 27 car, also with fire trailing. There's the Gree car right there of Gus Dean.
Ray Cicerelli also involved. Great story. He qualified 7th yesterday in his 9th start. Didn't have a crew, had to hire one last night.
Michael Lira into the outside wall. You know what? The cautions breed cautions.
Oh,
we
yeah.
say that all the time, Kevin.
I don't know if this would qualify as the big one, but it was pretty significant.
A lot of damage on that Phoenix Air car for Mark Thompson. We're hearing they're going to stop the cars on the backstretch to give the track officials time to clean this up.
That was a big hit that Gus Dean took. Big damage there for Andy Seiss in the 2 car, the
Eric
Robert
Cottle.
B. Auer company. Eric Cottle, yes, sorry. Fight comes to a stop.
Yeah, considerable damage there to Cottle's car. Look at Gus Dean's car. Wintron Racing hard into the inside wall. Look at all the damage to the back of that Gree car.
Good to see him moving around inside. He's one of the full-timers this season, running for the championship and for the Scotch Rookie of the Year after just 7 starts last season and a win at Talladega. Helmet off for the 22-year-old from South Carolina.
Good to see him moving around in that car, though. Hard hit.
So this eliminates a few contenders. Dean was one of those. Hadn't been running up as high as he would want today, but he's had a pretty good car here this weekend.
99th career start for Mark Thompson there in the Phoenix Air Ford.
Good to see him climbing out. All right, let's find out what happened.
Looked like the 66 of Mark Thompson got a bit of a bump from that white and red car.
And then Lyric came by and collected Thompson again. And then Baccarella and LeBeau in front. Once one thing happens, it's everyone reacting, trying to be evasive.
And they're running so tight there, especially right after a restart. We were double file for 12, 15 rows.
Let's watch the top of the screen now.
There's going to be the bump right there. That turned Mark Thompson right into Gus Dean.
Oh,
hard hit. Michael Lira. John Ferrier, their 16 car around in the middle of the racetrack.
Let's see what we see on board from Gus Dean. The 32-degree cooling products.
Absolutely zero warning.
Yep, and nothing you can do.
Not one thing that he could do. He's just along for the ride at this point. AJ Fike up against the outside wall.
Really tough hit for them in the Liberty Village car. Planning on running the full season this year. That's the idea. AJ's done a little bit of everything. He's won in ARCA on the dirt, but he's running the truck series. He's been a USAC champion.
He made 15 starts last year, had 8 top 10 finishes. Bob Baccarella really with a hard hit on Gus Dean. Just like Michael Lear, a hard hit into the 66 car of Mark Thompson. Ferry with some damage in that 16 car as well.
So it all started when the car behind Thompson made a little bit of contact and Thompson got out of sorts. So this is going to take a little while. We are under the red flag condition for the moment for the cleanup. Working on lap 49 of 80 as we really get going for Speed Weeks. The Clash is coming up later tonight here on FS1 after 8 o'clock. And of course, qualifying tomorrow for the Daytona 500 on Fox at 3 o'clock. The cleanup continues under caution. ARCA at Daytona. Under the red at Daytona. After a pretty massive pileup. Lap 49 of 80 in the season opener for the ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards. Mark Thompson, Gus Dean, Cesar Baccarella, Michael Lira, AJ Fike, John Ferrier, and we've taken a look at a couple of replays and we can see what, not putting any blame, but we can see who got into Mark Thompson from behind now.
Yeah, it looked like the 33 of Justin Fontaine made just a little bit of contact, and when you're running these speeds that close together, it doesn't take much. Looks like maybe even the 66 of Mark Thompson may have wobbled just a little bit, and the 33 of Fontaine got in the back of him, and that's what started this.
Well, there's Leilani Munter in the vegan-powered car having a great run here today in her first opportunity in 2 years. Under the red, she sits in 5th place. Munter is widely known for her activism and also has a tie to a popular American rock band. Fox's Caitlin Vincey sat down with Munter this week on NASCAR Race Hub.
When we walked in here, we saw a lot of the Grateful Dead posters. Now, your brother-in-law is Bob Weir.
Yes.
So what kind of influence has he had on you for your activism?
He has definitely had a really powerful influence. They were musicians, but they were also activists at the same time, and Bobby still is an activist. And I think that was a good example for me. You know, I went to my first Grateful Dead show when I was 12 years old, and so I grew up sort of seeing somebody that was using his voice in a totally different field to draw attention to making the world a better place. And so, you know, when it came my turn to sort of have a little bit of an audience through racing, I wanted to do a similar thing.
There's Bob Weir, one of the founding members of the Grateful Dead, here tonight with Leilani before the race on pit road. How cool is that? Were you a Deadhead, Phil?
I was not, but certainly appreciate their contribution to music.
We all love the Grateful Dead, and that's a legend in our midst here tonight in the music world. And Bob is certainly enjoying the run that Leilani Munter is having so far. Under the red, she sits in 5th place so far. The cleanup will continue, and we are going to be in for a sprint with 31 laps remaining in the season opener, and this is the reason why we are red. Stay with us. We'll get back going in a moment at Daytona in ARCA. Tomorrow, check out UFC Fight Night on FS1. The heavy hitters heat up the octagon when 8th ranked Derek Lewis takes on number 9 Travis Brown in a heavyweight matchup. Plus, 10th ranked Johnny Hendricks goes toe-to-toe with Hector Lombard. UFC Fight Night tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1 or watch on FS Go. Under red in the season opener for ARCA at Daytona with Phil Parsons, Jim Trado, Heather Dabo. I'm Kevin Lee, and Terry Jones is the story so far under the red. He did not pit the last time, but he has already pitted, and he is our leader for more Let's Go Down to Jim on pit road.
One thing to keep in mind, Kevin, is that Terry Jones has been racing basically Daytona and Talladega for the last several years. He started racing at Toledo Speedway and caught the ARCA bug and has now made his way into racing with younger drivers and developing them in the K&N East platform. His teammate, actually in the co-ownership, is Mark Rett. And Mark, you've won an ARCA championship as a crew chief here in 2009. Terry takes it pretty seriously, but I know how badly you all want to win this one. What's your driver saying?
He's beyond excited. I mean, this deal here for him, this is his golf game. He does the speedway stuff. You know, we're back down here next week for the truck race. It would be huge for him as a Canadian to win this race. The party would be endless. I just got to thank, you know, biggest thing I got to do is we got a small group of guys with the K&N program. We do the ARCA stuff, the truck stuff. Those guys been busting their butts all week. Over at the small track over here, I just got here. Logan Yanks, who's crew chief and Terry all weekend, has done a great job. I mean, it's the perfect storm. I'm praying for rain right now. And there's a pretty big storm coming about 20 miles out. So this caution doesn't get cleaned up soon enough, I think we might get a little bit of rain.
Those are the thoughts of the leader's co-owner, Mark Rett, here in the Terry Jones pit. Heather, who are you talking to?
Well, Jim, I'm here with one of the drivers involved in the accident. Unfortunately, Caesar, it was your first start here in the ARCA series, and can you walk us through what happened there?
Yeah, we're coming down the Tri-Oval, and corner of my eye, I could barely see a little smoke, and I saw the car spinning. I tried to go a little high. I thought he was going to stay on the bottom, but unfortunately, I hit the brakes as hard as I can, couldn't slow down fast enough, and he just rolled up the track. I just had nowhere to go. Unfortunate incident, it's Daytona. Yeah, but the Alpha Prime Chevy was pretty good. Yeah, there's no traffic. There was somebody above me. I couldn't go any higher than that. Just nowhere to go. Big traffic jam. But we'll be back. Have a good time.
Thanks, Caesar. I'm glad you're okay.
Thank you.
Caesar's got experience here in sports cars, runs in the Pirelli World Challenge as well, getting an opportunity here for Brian Finney's team, and unfortunately caught up in that one.
Yeah, and he was right. He absolutely had nowhere to go. There's a cause and an effect, and there's victims of that, and he was certainly one of the victims.
Terry Jones is certainly a good story so far in this one, and what you take out of this is, okay, he's up front because of how the pit stops fell, but he was hanging tight in 4th or 5th position as we look at Austin Terrios on board, the Orlando Longwood Auto Auction on board.
Running 3rd right now. Austin's in a great position. Dalton Sargent, there's the Phoenix Construction Toyota Ford right there. There's Leilani Muntu. What a great job she's doing right now up in the 5th spot. Finally, all her work is paying off here. If we can keep it up front here the rest of this race. Michael Self. His Toyota right now. Michael is being shown back in the 13th position, although that'll go up because some of the cars shown on the scoring monitor in front of him were involved in that wreck.
And then the Musselman's Big Cup applesauce on board for Noah Gregson. More on pit road and Heather DeBow.
That's right. I'm here outside the Infield Care Center with Michael Lira. Michael, is your first start here at Daytona. You were doing really well there. You had a speeding penalty, and then you were unfortunately caught up in that wreck. Walk us through what happened.
Yeah, so I'm just in the back, you know, doing the normal thing, not lifting, of course. But I see the 32 come across, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm good. I'm on the bottom. You know, all the wreck's going to sweep up to the top. Got around the 32 good, and then the 66 was right there, just like a wall right in front of me. Couldn't miss him. So sucks for everybody at Josh Williams Motorsports, Lira Motorsports. They worked really hard on this car. I think we had a good run going.
Thanks, Michael.
No problem.
Michael Leary in the Momo car.
He had a tremendous break. We saw him have trouble under green, and then the caution came out and saved his lap.
Yep.
So he was still in contention till this incident.
That's a great sight. The red has been lifted. Cars fired. They are on the back stretch. Pit road will be open, and we'll continue racing in just a little bit. But as you heard, there is a threat of rain, so it is definitely going to be a sprint race. So we'll sneak in a quick break. We'll check out pit stops, and we'll go racing again. Green at Daytona in ARCA. Stay with us on FS1. The red has been lifted under yellow, waiting to go green again in the ARCA opener at Daytona. The Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment 200 driven by General Tire. Terry Jones is the leader. But Phil, as we look through that top 10, there are a lot of good stories and guys having really good runs.
Yeah, some great stories. We've talked about Shane Lee and Austin Terrio, Dalton Sargent, Leilani. How about Ricky Sanders right now in the Kimmel car back in the 6th spot? Bola Mastis, who finished 6th here last year, ran a limited schedule, is going to run another limited schedule this year. Bo right now is running up in the 9th spot. Clint King, we haven't talked a great deal about in the 58 car. He's just outside the top 10 in 11th.
By the way, speaking of the 69 car, congratulations to Will Kimmel and his wife Erica. Became parents not that long ago.
Little baby.
Yep, and that's one of the reasons why he's not here in this event. We'll see him in the car again soon. So let's take one more look at the reason for the red
Top
flag.
of your screen, the 66, Mark Thompson gets a little bit of a bump from Justin Fontaine. That puts him into that Gree 32 car of Gus Dean, and then havoc ensues.
And speaking of Gus Dean, who took a heavy hit, good to see that he's okay. Heather just caught up with him back near the care center.
Here with Gus Dean. Gus, you took a very hard hit there. First of all, are you okay? And walk us through what you saw from your perspective.
Yeah, we're all right. We progressed there through the field. We tried to hang back as hard as we could, or as late as we could in the race to try to avoid what happened. But we were making progress on the bottom lane. Somebody got hit through the tri-oval, I think, on the top side. I never really saw it. I got clipped in the rear. Actually felt like the exact same wreck we had here last year, but last year we wrecked out the 3rd lap, got to make a few more laps today, but we came back and won Talladega. So we can't thank the people at Gree enough and everybody with Wintron Racing for giving us this opportunity, and hopefully we can come back from it and make a good run at the future races.
Thanks, Gus. We're glad you're okay, and best of luck to you in the rest of the season.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Gus is running full season. Let's take a look at this again from his onboard.
Yeah, they had well over 100 people here from Gree, and unfortunately, as he said, he absolutely had no idea that he was getting ready to get clipped and turned around.
So Gus Dean has to wait for another day. And that's a long wait in this stretch of the schedule because it's, what, 6 weeks until Nashville in early April. So
it's going to be a while.
Tough waiting.
You wait 2-3 months over the off season to get here. You talk about how much excitement there is down in the garage area, and then unfortunately you're going to have another long wait here before you can get back out there. That's the best medicine for somebody that has a problem, is being able to go at it again the next week.
Terry Jones from Ontario, Canada, 45 years old. Nortrax, Buck20Band.com, the sponsors for him. And he is in for what is going to need to be the restart of his life coming up in just a moment. How critical is this? Might this decide the race with still 25 laps to go?
Without a doubt, if you get shuffled out of this restart, and you can see right now that he's saving fuel on that car, shutting it off and coasting, you got to be able to maintain your position. If you have a problem on this restart and you get split and you get cars passing you on both sides, you may never be able to recover with inside of 30 laps to go.
He'll have Shane Lee right next to him in the Big Time Ford for Cunningham Motorsports. And Austin Terrier with Ken Schrader's team in 3rd. Don't forget, after we're done tonight, we get you set for the Clash tonight. It's NASCAR race day coming up at 6 o'clock, or maybe a few minutes after if we go a little bit long here. And then the Clash really kicking off the Cup season. 17 of NASCAR's top drivers coming up tonight after 8 o'clock. And tomorrow we go qualifying for the Daytona 500, 3 o'clock on Fox.
You want to see if maybe we can make some contact with another one of the drivers?
I think we should.
Hey, Austin Terrio, Phil Parsons up in the FS1 booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, 10-4. How's it going?
Good, buddy. How about for you? The question is, how's it going for you? You look like you're in a great spot here up in 3rd here with inside of 30 laps to go. What's your plan?
Well, we'll find out here pretty soon once we go green. It's been a long caution. Everybody's getting antsy, ready to go back green. I think we're in a good position. You know, I don't want to put all our cards out right now, but I think we're in a good spot. Just got to make sure that everybody does their job here on this restart and let us get to work.
We know you have experience in one of these shootouts. You had a great top 5 run in the truck race here a couple years ago, so you're going to rely on a little bit of that experience?
Yeah, I would say that's, you know, gotten me to where I am today as far as learning how to side draft and whatnot. And, you know, I think we'll be putting it to good use here in a couple laps.
All right, buddy. Good luck.
Thank you.
Just the third ARCA start for Austin Theriault, but he's not a rookie this season. It won't be a full season because of his experience. 11 starts in the Camping World Truck Series, 6 starts in the Xfinity Series as well. But looking to make it 2 out of 3 in ARCA if he can get to victory lane here tonight. Jim?
Well, the discussion for the car sitting 5th, we're riding on board with him now in the General Tire onboard. It's Dalton Sargent, car number 77. He's in 5th. His fellow Ford teammate for Cunningham Motorsports is 2nd. Sitting 2nd is his teammate Shane Lee. They're both full-time this season, but also Sargent knows this car is a good car to push. He'll want to get to the 22 as soon as possible. And I confirmed with his crew chief after hearing the radio chatter. Chad Bryant, the crew chief for Sargent in the 77, said, we want to get to the 22. We know if we connect up, we will be going to the front. And after that, all bets are off. So the plans are in place here for the Cunningham efforts here in the closing laps in the top 5.
Dalton Sargent took over the ride from that young man, Chase Briscoe. The champion last year, Cunningham's first championship in ARCA.
An amazing season. 6 wins for Chase Briscoe. He won 4 in a row at one time. You see on his left, right side of your screen, that's Chad Bryan, his crew chief right now. But I got a little bit concerned when we were looking at that onboard. It looked like there was some rain on the windshield of that 77 of Dalton Sargent. And I know these guys will not be happy running 5th. You see that rain there a little bit. There's Leilani Munter's car. It doesn't look quite as bad. Maybe it's just one part of the racetrack. Rain, Jim, what about the rain?
Well, honestly, when it comes to this rain, it's been a steady raindrop affair since the caution flag flew. I don't think it had any bearing on the crash that we had, the accident, but it's been a steady nonstop drizzle. Now, what I do see because of this Florida heat, the humidity in the area, it actually, when it hits the ground, you can see the drops starting to almost dry upon impact. So it's not heavy enough rain, but that drizzle is a concern for some of these teams. Actually, one team pitted under caution to do a tear-off because the windscreen was so debris up with a bit of water and a bit of oil and whatever it may be from those incidents on the track. So it's enough to be worried about. I believe that's what's extending this caution, hoping this light rain gets even lighter so we can get back racing. But it's been drizzling here for about the last 10 minutes on and off on pit road.
Mark Rett, the car owner of the 30 Terry Jones car in front, told Jim a little while ago, I'm doing my rain dance.
Yeah, without a doubt. But I have to disagree with Mark a little bit, though. He said if Terry was able to hold on and win this race, it would be a big party. I think this, with Terry Jones, there's going to be a pretty big party anyway.
His best finish is 5th in ARCA, and he's got a chance to better that by a big margin if he can hang out front here today. The car has been quick. He's not just up there because of circumstance. He was consistently running in 4th or 5th before this red flag, as we saw a few raindrops there on pit lane. And Leilani Munter, by the way, is now scored in 4th position. She was shown in 5th at the red flag, and there's the Vigan-powered car for Venturini.
They're really doing an outstanding job. All these drivers that have kept their nose clean and been up front here. We talked about Ricky Sanders and Bola Mastis. Clint King back in the 13th spot. Travis Braden back in 14th, first time here as well at Daytona.
In 11th spot, you can see Michael Self there. And it's a big race for him. Sinclair Oil, Sinclair Lubricants, maybe familiar with some of their gas stations, especially on the west. They're making more of a resurgence. They've been a great partner for him. And it's all kind of race by race at this point, but they're hoping they can do more and get a good showing out of him tonight.
Yeah, Michael jumped in a car last race of the season, finished 3rd at Kansas last year. He's a 6-time winner in the K&N West Series, so we know that he's a winner.
And he's had some good showings in his limited opportunities in just 3 starts. He finished 3rd in that race at Kansas last year, but his first time at Daytona. And he said there's just a lot to take in here. So much learning goes on with these young drivers. And I'd even talk to the guys that have been here 8, 9 times. I learn something different every time I come here.
Yeah, good news, too, here. You see the lights are out on the pace car. That means we will restart this race when they get back around here. So we're going to have about 24 laps to go when they restart.
And the threat of weather, so you want to get to the front post haste. On the outside, Shane Lee. Terry Jones is the leader. He chose the low line in the 30 car. Theriault and Munter, row 2. Sargent and Sanders, row 3. Hessert Holmes, LeMastus and Fontaine in row number 5.
We haven't talked at all about Bobby Gerhart. You can see that big black car towards the back of the pack with a big Lucas on the hood. That's Bobby Gerhart. Remember, an 8-time winner here. There's been races that he's won here, Kevin. He said there's absolutely no way that Bobby Gerhart will go from where he is to the win, and he's done it. So let's don't count him out.
He said, I've won all the way from the back before. So qualifying did not go the way he wanted it to, but he's had a good car here this weekend. He is still someone to keep an eye on. 9 wins, all on super speedway restrictor plate tracks, 8 of them here.
He went 14 consecutive years with his worst finish at Daytona being 8th.
This is his 30th start here at the World Center of Racing in ARCA. Around turn number 4. In the dusk, the lights starting to take some effect. 25 laps to go. Pace car pulls off. Jones and Lee in the front row, and we are green again at Daytona for ARCA.
Look how close Austin Theriault is to Terry Jones.
Lee trying the high side. That's going to allow Sargent to come down below him for 3rd.
Lee didn't have enough of a push. Leilani wasn't quite close enough to give him a push. Lee's going to drop down into the 5th spot. I think he has room, and he does.
And Munter did get down to the bottom to avoid losing even more space.
That's Ricky Sanders out there in the Kimmel car leading that outside line.
And so far, Jones hangs on to the spot. Lee, Theriault, Sargent, Munter behind him, single file up front.
See Ricky Sanders trying to side draft Leilani a little bit here to stall her momentum. He needs to stall her momentum enough to create a gap in front of her and get down in that spot.
When he comes down, is that trying to get the side draft?
Exactly. That will stall her momentum and hopefully cause her to lose touch with the car in front of her.
And now he's got some company up on that top line.
Is that Tom Hessert up there in front of Ricky Sanders?
Hessert is running in 4th position. He's a little bit further ahead. No, that is him right there.
Yes, it is.
And it's hard to go through the order because they're all basically lined up like the start of the race.
Yeah, without
2 by 2.
See, Shane Lee has a little bit of a hole there. Possibility to get down to the inside. Didn't take it. Now Dalton Sargent's going to close that hole.
So this is the best we've seen the top line working so far.
Got a real good pusher in Tom Hessert in the 25 and a very fast number 22 for Shane Lee on the outside.
Hessert in that white 25, the pole sitter, dominated early before they lost a few spots during a series of pit stops.
Ooh, look, a little bit of a wiggle by Leilani. It looked like Bo LeMastus got into the back of Leilani just a little bit. Nice save by Leilani.
LeMastus is in the white Crosley 42 car.
Did Michael Self that Sinclair car right behind Bo LeMastus. There's Weatherman, the 78 car. We haven't seen Weatherman since that pit stop. Now he's back up there racing close to the top 10.
Look at Lee trying to use the side draft from Sargent to try to come up on the top side. Hessert, the pusher.
I think we're close enough there. These guys are going to have to make this outside line work, Kevin. I don't think there's going to be enough time for those guys to get to the inside line. Look how tight that inside line is tucked up against each other.
Jones and Theriault, the top 2. Sargent, the 3rd on the bottom there in the 77 Phoenix construction car.
We've got guys towards the back. Sean Corr, Bobby Gerhart trying to see if they can make the 3rd line work.
Any chance of that 3rd line working?
Well, it's going to be hard as long as these cars stay tucked up like they are.
But if you get enough to go with you, then you leave someone in the middle all by themselves.
Yeah, if Sean Corr, you see him in right side of your screen, that beige car, if he could get outside of that somebody in that middle line there, stall their momentum, have a little help from behind, put all that center line in danger.
Terry Jones is getting it done so far as we watch Sinclair and Clint King in the 28 and the 58 a little further back.
I think Michael Self is driving that Sinclair car.
That's right, yeah.
The dinosaur, I don't think, is driving it.
Running for 11th. He'll be happy though that I mentioned the sponsor. He'll be okay with me calling him Sinclair.
Inside of 20 laps to go now. These guys are going to start giving less room. There's going to be more pushing going on. Everybody's going to be fighting for every single inch. It looks like the 22 Shane Lee has made a little progress. He's now up even with Austin Theriault in the 52.
Big push from Hessert behind. They're almost side by side for the lead at Daytona. Heading into turn number 3.
Here, Austin Theriault never backing off that car.
Theriault is obviously strong, but how difficult is it going to be for him to get around? He's got to find an opening, and then he's got to take the chance and make sure somebody goes with him.
Right now, he'd be satisfied with 18 laps to go just to try to stay in front of that outside line. Not able to do it. You see Shane Lee dead even with him.
So that's the battle for second right now, with Terry Jones maintaining the advantage out front.
For Terry Jones, that double yellow line is his friend.
And they seem to get that push down the backstretch. Into 3.
Terry Jones's spotter is telling him, do not let anybody get underneath you. Stay against that double yellow line. See Bobby Gerhart, that black Lucas car up on the outside, trying to make that third lane work.
Here comes Lee again. For a moment getting ahead of Theriault, side by side for second. Can Hessert give him the push? Not there.
Shane Lee is really doing a nice job there, maintaining that spot with Austin Theriault to his inside. He's got a great pusher. Tom Hessert, one of the more experienced guys we have in this field, and obviously a fast car. Look at that push from Theriault.
Lee almost got out in front of him, but Theriault did the job for Jones again, shoving him right back to the front.
Remember, we talked to Theriault, a great job here 2 years ago in Brad Keselowski's truck with a top 5 finish, propelled his teammate to the win, Tyler Reddick.
He's running for Ken Schrader now. He won in Michigan in 2014, 4th at Pocono.
And that's it.
That is it.
That's his ARCA resume.
Yep. Now you got the other experience we mentioned in the Truck Series in Xfinity. Jones maintains the lead. Let's find out more on the 22 with Heather.
Yeah, Kevin, as you were talking about, he is really working hard to try and get in front of the 52 and 30, but he has a great coach up in the spotter stand. Stevie Reeves, who spotted for Paul Menard, as well as Chase Briscoe a few times, is really coaching him right now. He's telling him, use the side draft. Don't make too big of a gap in the middle. Don't get too far away from the 25. You need him to push you. So he's really working hard, and he's doing a pretty good job so far. So we'll wait and see if he can eventually get around and get that outside line moving further ahead than the inside. Kevin?
Stevie Reeves, good driver in his
Yeah,
own
I was going
right.
to say, not only a good spotter, he was a real good race car driver as well.
And he's one of the really good spotters, too, you like to have with you. Theriault on the bottom in the 52. Lee up top in the black 22. And
trouble.
there we have a big one in the back.
Michael Self is involved, as well as Thomas Prater. There's Andy Seiss. Quint Houff right there, the 98, also involved. Leilani with damage.
Ed Pompa. So, I again would call that just a significant one. Probably not the big one. Luckily, we avoided that. But really unfortunate for several, including Thomas Prater, who's been having a really good run here this evening.
Look, all the damage to Leilani's vegan-powered Toyota. We talk about, we got inside 20 to go, Kevin. You start pushing a little bit more. You start giving people less room. Bo LeMastus with a lot of damage in this Crosley Dodge.
Oh, and he was strong, trying to back up his good run here last year with another one. It's not going to happen. 6th last year. Hauff got some things done, leading some laps, showing what he could do. But unfortunately, it's not going to be the finish he was hoping for. Same for Prater.
Tough break. You get inside of 20 laps to go. You've had a great run. Thomas Prater did a nice job. They stayed out on that early caution when a lot of people came down pit road, maintained a top 3 spot along with Gren Hauff. And unfortunately, it's gonna all be for naught. At least 7 cars involved in that most recent incident. Gren Hauff going straight to the garage. Mason Mitchell's car.
And also the 02 Andy Seiss, we're told, was involved in that. I think that's the only one we haven't mentioned.
Yeah, Andy's on pit road right now with his team making repairs. He's about 2-3 pit stalls in front of Leilani as there's Andy Seiss's car right there. Andy, great modified racer, won the Whelen Southern Modified Tour a couple times, championship.
Just his 4th ARCA start. So a lot of work for that crew. And meanwhile, Terry Jones has survived another stint. Terrio challenged him several times, and now Terrio is scored in front. So maybe at the line. They were running side by side, so we'll wait for this to shake out under caution here, whether who gets the choice. And this is huge. The bottom side is where you need to be, and if that's Terrio, that could be a game changer.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm sure the ARCA officials will review this and make sure that whoever was in front as they went by the most recent scoring loop when the caution flag was displayed.
Let's look again. We'll look up front, and we'll also look further back. So right there, Jones is clearly in front.
So let's see where it starts here. See, there's Leilani. You see the green car. Leilani gets a little bit of a bump from Bola Mastis, it looked like. That turned her into the outside, into Thomas Prater. You can see Terry Jones obviously in front here. And again, it all depends. You see the caution lights flashing, so it will be Terry Jones, our leader, when we restart this race.
So 7 involved in
See the
this
sparks.
caution.
There's Michael Self. He's going to jump to the inside, but unfortunately that's where Bola Mastis and Thomas Prater both went. You see Thomas Prater made some contact with the right side of Michael Self's car. Doesn't look, hopefully not a great deal of damage to the right side of that Sinclair car. There's Ed Pompa going by in the 10 with a lot of damage. A little bit more contact from Ed Pompa. Here's Leilani. She's going to get a bump and turns her right in to Thomas Prater. No fault of her own. And again, that's just hard racing. And these, again, here's the 28 of Michael Self. You see the bump right there. Michael thinks he's going to be okay, but unfortunately gets a little bit of contact on the right side. I think he avoided Bola Mastis. You see the bump from Bo.
And then he gets into Prater.
Yeah. There's see the damage between Prater and Michael Self. See Ed Pompa go by on the outside. He's going to make contact. There he is with the outside wall. Pretty significant contact. Gwen Hauff already made contact with a 98.
So this one takes a little while to clean up, and we are really going to have a shootout as we see more work with Munter on pit road. We're going to be well under 10 laps to go by the time we go back to green.
See if Leilani can remain on the lead lap.
Ray Cicerelli, who was just thrilled with the way the weekend was going, qualified 7th yesterday. Had to go to the back with some damage during qualifying, but they were still ecstatic, making their first ARCA race with their team at Daytona. Don't forget, race day is coming up right after we're done, getting you set for the Clash coming up tonight here at Daytona. Plenty good storylines for that one. We enjoy this event because it really kicks off the stock car season. We get to see the Cup guys in action coming up tonight. Just a little taste, a little preview of what we're going to see next Sunday afternoon.
It's great
in
to
the
have
Daytona 500.
stock car racing back going in 2017. Had a great Rolex 24 here a couple weeks ago that our broadcast partner Jeff Gordon was on the winning team.
He won with Wayne Taylor Racing. We're going to find out who wins the ARCA opener very soon. Stay with us. Back to the World Center of Racing, Daytona International, for the season opener for the ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards and the Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment 200, driven by General Tire, with Phil Parsons, Jim Trado, Heather DeBow, and Kevin Lee. 1 to go at the line. A shootout is coming up with under 10 laps to go in the season opener, and so many storylines, Phil.
How can Terry Jones hold on? He had only led 3 career laps in his 56 previous starts, and right now he's led 23 laps here, trying to hold on for his first career win.
But Austin Theriault may have something to say about that. Heather is with the 52 team.
That's right. I'm here with the crew chief of the 52, Donnie Richardson. Donnie, you were just communicating with Austin over the radio. What were you telling him, and what is he saying about the car to get you guys to victory lane tonight?
He's been awesome all day. I mean, he's just been picking and choosing his lines, and he's really even been trying to think for everybody else, you know, to keep everybody else positioned up well too to get to this point. So he's just doing a well of a job. I mean, I really hadn't had to say much to him. I don't like to say much here anyway. You can't see anything, so I don't want to interrupt. Spotter's got the busiest job here, so we'll let him do the work with the driver. But he's doing an awesome job. I mean, the car's, you know, it's held together good. Everything's been good. Certainly fast enough. We just got to have a little luck here on this restart and see if we can get to victory lane.
Thanks, Donnie. Good luck.
Thank you.
Things are calm in the 52 pit. They're tense here in the 30 pit. This is Terry Jones. His team just told me we are very, very close on fuel. So let's see what Jones does on the restart and the remaining moments here as our race leader.
And I think it's going to be critical to watch what Dalton Sargent can do for Austin Theriault. What kind of push can you get on the high side? On the bottom is the leader, Terry Jones, in the black and yellow Nortrax car.
Yeah, the guy right now in the second row may be the most important. The guy with the best push for those guys in the front row.
Shane Lee can be the helper in the 22 for Jones. Here we go. Green, is it for the final time in the opener in the ARCA Racing Series?
Just 9 laps to go. Dead even as they get down to turn 1.
Theriault trying to go from the outside. They come down, maybe even touch. Theriault trying to get the bump draft to go around the high side.
Teammates in the second row. The 22 of Lee and the 77 of Sargent.
And Sargent trying to come up to give Theriault some help.
Look at Bobby Gerhart trying to look for some room there in that black Lucas car.
They're still side by side in the 3. Jones just barely in front. But this time, Theriault is hanging with him.
Got Tom Hessert down on the bottom in that third line, pushing.
This is the opportunity right here for Theriault. Can he get out in front and clear him? Jones hanging on the bottom side, still side by side as they go into 1.
Just 8 laps to go. 2 nice, secure lines right here. See Weatherman there. We haven't talked about Weatherman lately. He's back there in the 8th spot behind the 23 of Holmes.
7 or 8 rows, 2 by 2 in the final laps at Daytona in the season opener for ARCA.
You see him pushing and shoving back there. Ricky Sanders, that red 69, got a little bit of a shove. Look at Theriault.
The 77 is giving him a good push. That's Sargent. And Theriault is out in front and he's down to the bottom. Theriault has cleared Jones. He is in the lead at Daytona.
You know, earlier we talked about the guys with experience. Theriault doesn't have that much experience here, but he's got great experience. We talked about him finishing in the top 5 in that truck. Invaluable experience. He's got the lead.
The high line is working better. Can Sargent come from up top? Does Jones have anything to come back? Shane Lee in the 22 and 3rd is still in the mix.
Right now, Terry Jones just needs to stay in line. If he's going to do anything with Austin Theriault, do it later. There's too much time left to jump to the outside.
Brett Holmes also in the top side in the 23 car there, the Southern States Bank car. And then Tom Hessert, don't forget about him, in the white 25. Dominated early in the Andrews car. Does he have enough time?
Well, it seems like the Cunningham Motorsports teammates have been side by side the entire race. The 22 of Shane Lee, and there's the 77 of Sargent.
Ken Schrader Racing out in front with Austin Theriault. Running full-time this year in ARCA and can kickstart what he hopes will be a championship drive with a win in the opener. But still, more than 5 laps remaining, and Terry Jones fighting back, trying to get to the bumper, but he needs some help.
I think he's going to need some help to make the move, but I still would wait a little bit to make the move. Try to really keep that outside line away. It would be nice if that contact.
And hard into the wall. And it looks like the 33 of Fontaine is
on his side.
On his lid now.
See Bobby Gerhart also involved.
Gerhart in the 5. And we are under caution with 5 to go at Daytona. And that's the 7 car of Cody Robaugh, I believe, in front there of the 5.
Safety workers right on it to get there to Fontaine.
So the Grant County Mulch car, the 7 car, that is Robaugh in front of the Lucas Oil car for Gerhart, and we are red again. Stopped on the backstretch with 5 to go at Daytona in the ARCA opener. I'm going to wait and watch for Justin Fontaine,
yeah,
the 19-year-old from Fletcher, North Carolina, to climb out.
Yeah, certainly concerned for Justin right now, as well as Bobby Gerhart, Cody Robaugh.
Looks like they're talking to both drivers. Helmet off.
Yeah, Cody took his helmet off.
So that's a good sign. So this is all just past the tri-oval on the front stretch before turn 1, really just past the exit of pit road.
They were racing for about the 12th spot there. It was changing so rapidly with double file racing, but they were about 12th. See Cody climbing out. There's Bobby Gerhart.
Okay, good.
Walking across the racetrack. Good to see those guys out.
8-time winner here at Daytona in ARCA.
But he sure hasn't had much luck lately here at Daytona. Got crashed out last year.
So waiting and hoping for a good report on Justin Fontaine now, who was up on his side and rode that way for a little while before he tipped over.
These drivers are required to take a trip to the infield care center, get checked out.
So we believe just 3 cars involved in this one. And Justin Fontaine, you can see on the double yellow lines, is the one that went over.
Remember, these are the older style cars too, Kevin. There's not as much window opening on these cars as there is on the new Cup cars or the composite cars that the ARCA Racing Series runs. So there's only about 16 inches of window opening from the top of the door to the main hoop of the roll cage, or the roof hoop of the roll cage.
And that's a really good sign there. It looks like somebody's talking with Justin down there, and as you said, there's just no way to get out. So it looks like they may have to tip the car back over before he can be extricated.
Yeah, that's what it looks like they're preparing to do, is to turn that car back over.
That is a mangled race car.
Again, this accident happened with these guys racing for around the 12th spot. So every one of these drivers certainly in contention for a top 10 finish had they made it to the end. But unfortunately, it didn't happen.
We've seen a lot of single file for a while, but when it gets to the later stages, it was 2 by 2 by 2 all the way back, 6, 7, 8 rows deep.
And what a great job by Austin Theriault to wrestle that lead away from Terry Jones. He kept working the high side, working the high side. Finally had enough of an opening. He jumped down in front of Terry. But Terry didn't do anything wrong. No. He held that car wide open from that restart. And Austin just really worked the outside draft and had a little bit of help from behind.
No matter how this turns out, Terry Jones should feel good about how he performed. That was a really good segment of racing there up front.
Terry led 24 laps.
And you said he had led 3 in his career. 56 starts coming up to this. Great sign. We see Justin Fontaine moving around, and they are going to really nicely put him down gently.
Yeah, you can see right from there to there. It's only about 16 inches. So, and that side was laying down on the racetrack. So
this was Justin's first ARCA start. He had a Camping World Truck Series start last year at Martinsville. He's only 19 years old, goes to school at UNC Charlotte.
Great to see him moving around. It'll be really good to see him get out of that car and get over to the ambulance for the ride into the infield care center.
All right, let's go back and see how this all transpired coming up.
See him climbing out now. Yeah.
Justin is going to climb out of the car, so let's hang on and take a look at him. He's got the helmet off. And this is a nice precaution before you ask a driver to try to get out. Let's make sure everything is on the up and up, or we may take a different tact to remove you from the car if you have any concern about any other issues.
Yeah, they're prepared down there to cut that roof off of that car if they need to bring Justin out, but they're just going to take their time. It's not about speed right here. It's about comfort for him.
All right, here's the first look at what happened. On the front stretch in the tri-oval. Look at the top of the screen first. No, from the bottom to the top.
Looked like maybe Kaz Grala might have got into the 58 car of Clint King to maybe start this. And again, everybody's out there pushing and shoving and not trying to give up any room whatsoever. You see the 33 of Fontaine sliding on his roof, and it's going to tip back over.
So how difficult?
There's another view. Looked like there might have been some contact there, and that got the 58 of Clint King, I think, into Justin Fontaine's 33 car. Cody Robaugh, Bobby Gerhart came along with absolutely nowhere to go. You see Derek Lancaster gets into the outside wall right in front of them.
And Justin Fontaine took a big head-on hit.
See right side of your screen, look at the green car. They're just in there pushing and shoving, drafting. Looked like it really got into the 7 of Cody Robaugh, and that got him into Justin Fontaine. But again, nothing these drivers could do. They're just along for the ride right here.
When they're running this close, it's one thing when you're going down the backstretch in a straight line. How difficult is that to do when you're all hooked up nose to tail and coming through that little kink in the tri-oval?
There's a 55, Noah Gregson, his on board. Watch out to his left side of his window. You see the green car get a little bit of a bump. He gets into the 7, and that puts the 7 up into the outside line where he makes contact. It's very difficult, though, Kevin, in answer to your question, because these cars jump around at best, and you've got somebody just inches away from you, both front, back, and on your side.
Wild ride in the Promatic car for Justin Fontaine.
It eases over on its roof. The encouraging thing is there was not a hard hit. I mean, you have hard flips and easy flips. That was a relatively easy flip.
The flip was fine. It was the initial impact into the safer barrier, that was more significant.
And thank goodness for that safer barrier you just mentioned.
The last time there was a restart with less than 5 to go here was in 2012 when Bobby Gerhart got the win. He passed Brandon McReynolds on the last lap. McReynolds ran out of fuel.
Coming off turn 4. He could see the start-finish line, and he ran out of fuel and didn't get there.
When we heard the report that Terry Jones was in a little bit of jeopardy, they should all be okay pitting on lap 22 with a lot of cautions.
That's only 58 laps with a lot of cautions.
Yeah.
They should be good. Now,
but did they get it full?
Yes, if they got it full. And you may want to ride around a little bit on the apron because the fuel pickup is in the right rear corner of that fuel cell. The 31-degree banking here at Daytona, that fuel will run away. You may have 3 gallons left in the tank, 3-4 gallons, but it'll run away from the pickup on these cars. So you may want to ride around the flat of the racetrack till we get going.
Let's go down to pit road and check in with Jim.
With the crew chief on Dalton Sargent's number 77, Chad Bryant. Chad won the championship last year. You've also won in a super speedway race. This has to kill you, these delays and wondering what your drivers do. You're with another young driver again, Dalton Sargent. What have you guys talked about under this caution to get in position to perhaps win this race?
We've really talked about all these scenarios before the race started. We went over everything the last couple of weeks. We've been talking and communicating really well. There's nothing really you can plan right here. Anybody that makes a plan, they're going to break it. They're going to do what's best for them. So we're going to push the 30 as hard as we can push him, try to get him the lead, and then see if we can pass him. That's all we get. That's our only option.
Has your car been better in the front or behind someone else as you made your way around this racetrack?
We've been really good in all scenarios. We haven't been out front yet, and I think once we get to the front, there's no way anybody will pass us, though.
That's the thoughts of Dalton Sargent's crew chief. His teammate, the number 22 of Shane Lee, is also in the mix as well. And if you couldn't tell, guys, it's starting to rain a little bit again down here.
Uh-oh. I like that. There are a lot of deals made, but we know they're all going to be broken. It's every man for himself. That looks a little more significant than like what we've seen.
It does. We really couldn't even hardly see the previous rain. But that is coming down here. Jim mentioned earlier there's so much heat on the ground that it evaporates about as soon as it hits the racetrack. But
good report from the medical center that both Bobby Gerhart and Cody Robaugh have been checked and released. So under red with 5 to go, hoping the weather holds off to give us one more restart with Austin Theriault and Terry Jones on the front row. But how did we get to this point? We've had a lot of things happening in this race. Started with Tom Hessert on the pole. He dominated the early stages of this race. But then we had some issues on lap number 6.
Yeah, the 11 of Brian Doza has some sort of an issue. There's some contact. He gets turned around. Then he cuts down a right rear tire and brings out a caution flag.
Problems on pit road for young Quinn Houck, who led a stretch of this race after Hesser got shuffled back under a pit stop.
A couple crew chiefs having a little bit of a difference of opinion. There's a big one here. Mark Thompson, some contact. Gus Dean, the 32, hard contact right at the start finish line.
Big hit
bunch
for
of
Gus.
cars involved
okay.
there.
Yep.
Yeah. Leilani gets turned into the outside line, gets into Thomas Prater. About 7 cars involved in this one. There's a most recent caution right here. Justin Fontaine gets turned up into the outside and slides down the front straightaway.
That brought us to the red flag for the 2nd time tonight. And the leader is Austin Theriault. And we had magnificent side-by-side racing in this last little stretch, with Theriault coming from the top side, which hasn't worked so far, to get to the front over Terry Jones, who led a large stretch of this race, 24 laps. But now Theriault, who's led just 5 laps, in charge, and if it continues to rain, he'd be quite fine with that.
And it gets down to which line does he take? Who does he want behind him? Does he want Shane Lee behind him, who's 3rd? Or does he want Dalton Sargent behind him, who's 4th? Because he has the choice on this restart. He can pick the inside line or the outside line. And I think it's really more about who he wants to be in front of on this restart.
Let's hear from one of the other veteran crew chiefs, longtime Cup crew chief, who is working here tonight in this race with Heather.
That's right, Kevin. We just caught up with the 77 of Cunningham Motorsports, but now I'm with their teammates here and crew chief Paul Andrews. So, Paul, we were just talking. This is your first race with Shane Lee working together as crew chief driver. How is it going so far for you?
Well, it's going really good. You know, we believe we're third, but I think Arca said we're fourth. But really good race. We've had we led a lap or two there. Car's really good. Shane's doing a good job. Stevie Reeves, our spotter's doing a great job. Car was fast in testing, fast here the other day. And we're really happy with the car. We just need to finish this off. We want to win, that's for sure. But you know, if we get a second or third out, I think we'll be pretty happy with that also.
Now you spoke about finishing it off. If you're coming from fourth or third, what do you think you guys have to do to get it done?
Well, we're going to be on the top, so we need them to break. You need somebody behind us to push hard. We've had the 25 behind us. We've made the outside work. We've got to the lead that way. That's how the 52 got in the lead. So we just need a good pusher. We need a good partner behind us to make it happen. Well, we can definitely make it happen. It's close.
Thanks, Paul. Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jim, over to you.
Thanks, Heather. I know that, Phil, you're dying to know what is it like down here. It actually stopped again. It's been drizzling. You can see a little bit of precipitation on my Fox Sports jacket, but it doesn't stay long. It just kind of spits. It's the humid Florida 4 in the afternoon type shower, but it was heavy enough, I think, that last time to maybe have the officials say, can we keep this racetrack? It's now back to where that moisture is now drying once again, and it's not even raining nearly as much as it was even a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I love that, Jim. Thanks for that update. You can see a little bit of moisture on the tire, but again, as Jim said, the ground is a lot warmer and it just evaporates as soon as it hits.
This is the warmest day we've had of the weekend so far, getting closer to 80 degrees, but it has been awfully nice in Daytona this week, and we want to see that continue for at least another week. So one of the questions that Paul Andrews was mentioning, Shane Lee is shown on timing and scoring in third, but he says they've been told they're in fourth, so that's one of the things still to sort out. But we know Austin Theriault in front, and Terry Jones is in second position.
Yeah, it's which one of the Cunningham Motorsports teammates is going to be restarting third and fourth.
We mentioned the long history in NASCAR for Paul Andrews, 12 wins, championship.
Alan Kulwicki. Yeah.
I think he was Michael Waltrip, Fox's Michael Waltrip's crew chief, among many others, at one point. What an asset he is for these young drivers.
And one of the good guys, too. He's one of the guys you like to spend time around in the garage area. He'll shoot you straight and let you know what's going on. And he puts a great product out on the racetrack as well.
Yeah, Cunningham cars have been stout all weekend, as you would expect. So is Ken Schrader's car out front. But the so-called little guy, Mark Rett's team, RJR, has been a factor for the second half of this race, and it wasn't just a fluke. They were running well before. They've been quick all weekend. That's Terry Jones. Don't forget, race day is coming up next here on FS1. John Roberts and the gang getting you set for the Clash coming up here tonight, also live on FS1. And then tomorrow we'll qualify for the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, qualifying at 3 on Fox tomorrow.
There's Leilani Munter. She's thinking right now what could have been. She had such a great run going. She's being shown one lap down.
So she's going to have to try to battle back in these remaining laps if given the opportunity, and she has battled her way back to the ARCA Racing Series this weekend for the first time in 2 years. Widely known for her activism and humanitarian efforts, this week she shared her story with NASCAR Race Hub and Fox's Caitlin Vincey.
I drove my first race for Venturini in 2014, and I've run 5 races with them so far.
So it's kind of returning home for you this year then, essentially.
Yeah, and it's always been hard for me because I've always, you know, a lot of times when I race, I have like a one race deal.
Right.
So oftentimes I was jumping from team to team, and here's the vegan powered car. So yeah, it's nice to come back. I have the same crew chief. I know the guys. I feel sort of at home.
So for this car, how did this come about? How did the vegan-powered car come to fruition?
And the way this car actually came about was I got an award at the Animal Rights National Conference in Los Angeles. It was called the Vegan Athlete of the Year Award. So I, of course, talked about how nothing says that veganism has arrived to the mainstream more than having a race car at Daytona.
You have a lot of confidence in yourself, but there's other people, racing legends in the sport, Donnie Allison, who have praised you. What does that kind of praise mean to you, receiving it from such big-name drivers in the sport?
To hear them compliment me about my driving is, yeah, I mean, that just makes me that much more confident in my own abilities. You know, being different, being a female driver in a sport, you can take some extra criticism online, and people can be pretty harsh.
Any nerves kind of getting back into the car after some time away?
No, I was happy to get back behind the wheel. When I'm in a race car, I kind of savor every moment, right? Because I don't have any races scheduled beyond Daytona. This could be my last race if I don't find sponsorship again. So I really try and like savor every second that I'm in the race car, because I know, you know, every time that I'm in there, it could be my last time.
So you are a race car driver, but first and foremost, you're an activist. So what kind of first drew you to your causes that you represent now?
I have a degree in biology from the University of California in San Diego, and it's specializing in ecology, behavior, and evolution. So I've always been really concerned about the human impact that we're having on our planet. My motto is never underestimate a vegan hippie chick with a race car. I know from the outside it seems kind of strange, right?
Unusual pairing.
Yeah, right. How can racing and environmental activism go together? For me, you know, they're endlessly intertwined with each other, because my activism is amplified by me having the race car. It's driving the race car that gives me a voice.
How have the racing community kind of embraced you?
Recently, it's been very, very positive from the racing community, but, you know, if you're trying to create a movement or if you're trying to change something for the better, the only way to move the needle is to start a dialogue between the two sides. And so I always try and tell the environmental community, you know, please don't stereotype race fans and say, oh, because they like car racing, they don't care about clean air or clean water or clean planet. That's just not true. Me being somebody who's walking this line in between these two worlds of environmentalists and race fans, I can see that we have a lot more in common, and there's much more crossover than I think people initially think there would be.
The racing road has been a little bit challenging for you in the sense that you've had to walk away from sponsors that didn't fit your morals.
That has been difficult. I mean, there's definitely been a few situations where I've walked away from, you know, multi-million-dollar sponsorship deals that would have had me full-time. But at the end of the day, I would have been having to sort of walk away from the ethics that I believe in. And so I have the rules, you know, that I don't work with any companies that produce any sort of fossil fuels. So no oil, no coal, no natural gas. You can imagine some of the racing.
Narrowed down.
Yeah, some of the marketing people in racing have just, you know, kind of laughed.
Now for you, you've spoken at the White House, you've received various awards and honors, been part of major films, but what's been maybe the most rewarding part of all of this for you?
Gosh, I have to say that when we roll the vegan-powered race car onto the starting grid at Daytona, to have that dream come true is going to be a real feeling like I've accomplished some of my dreams.
Really good story from Caitlin Vincey with Leilani Munter. Had a great run before she was caught up in one of the late crashes tonight, sitting in 19th position under the red flag. Heavy cleanup and some damage to the safer barrier, and because of that, we are not going to be able to resume, as what I'm hearing at this point. So this one is going to be official, and Austin Theriault is a winner at Daytona in the ARCA Racing Series. Congratulations to Austin Theriault, his second career win in just his third start. And what a start to 2017 for Austin Theriault.
Could be the start of a championship run for him. He made the pass on the outside, so hard to do. You can see there's crew chief Donnie Richardson right there, and his crew celebrating. Monkey's off his back. There's Ann Schrader. Ann's probably the car owner, really, not Kenny Schrader.
We will hear from Austin Theriault during race day coming up in just a few minutes, so stay tuned to hear from Austin Theriault, the winner here in Daytona in the ARCA Racing Series opener, the Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment 200, driven by General Tire. The 23-year-old from Maine has won at Daytona. So coming up in just a moment, it's race day. John Roberts and the gang, and we get set for the Clash coming up later tonight. Thanks for joining us from Daytona for the ARCA Racing Series.